I guess you can all guess what this might be by the title, ladies and gentlemen, but we are going to talk about pre-ordering games. So, when was the last time any of you pre-ordered a title? Let us know in the comments below. I'll be honest, the last time I actually pre-ordered a video game title was Metal Gear Solid 5: The Phantom Pain. I pre-ordered it digitally about a week before it released, and before that I've actually it was quite a fair bit since I ever had pre-ordered a game. In fact, I think it was a year plus since I had pre-ordered a game at all. Now, pre-ordering games, of course, a lot of people do them. A lot of people want to be the first to actually play something, but we're going to have to talk about why that practice needs to stop. So lately somebody mentioned to me about the Deus Ex, Mankind Divided, pre-order debacle, and that has actually happened months ago. It happened a long time ago. In fact, it's gotten to the point where the developers have sort of rolled back on it and are just working on the game and pumping out a good Deus Ex. Hopefully it won't be Invisible War, but even that wasn't a bad game, I guess you could say. Well, it wasn't a, great Deus Ex game. Regardless, it's not that video. If you want a retrospective on Deus Ex, let me know in the comments below, and I'd love to make one, actually. You know what? I might actually do it. But that is not this video. What happened with that game was the developers actually added pre-order tiers to the game. So how the system would work, rather the Deus Ex Mankind Divided system, was that the tagline was augment your pre-order. Basically what would be offered was multiple different, say, how would you say it? The things such as comic books, things such as in-game missions, weapon packs, skins, all that kind of stuff. Things that you would regularly expect to be, the stuff that would usually get thrown into any game, right? Like every game has pre-order skins or XP bonuses when you pre-order it, right? Like a day one purchase. Well, over here, gamers had to pick between the skill tree of pre-orders, which is absolutely asinine as it is. And the only way this would work was that you would actually, add your friend. You would go to your friends, you would refer your friends, you would get your friends to pre-order the game, and as the pre-order tiers increased, you got more and more stuff. Fair to say it was a lot of bullshit, and gladly Square Enix rolled back on it, and they're just ready to give gamers a full-on Deus Ex game, which is what should happen from the start. So, woo! We won that one, ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you that. But that wasn't the first time something like this happened. In fact, something similar occurred, way back on many Steam games. I remember whenever there was, you would have to preload the game, and you'd get a bunch of people to preload, and you would have things unlocked as you got through it. The only difference was they never had the skill tree of unlocking, and to be fair, it wasn't as bullshit as it was, so the response that Deus Ex had gotten was kind of well-deserved, and I totally do agree on that, but regardless, that stuff has changed. But what about pre-ordering as a whole? Now let's talk about the act of pre-ordering. Basically, you're putting money into something that hasn't actually been complete. At that point, 7-8 months before, when Halo 5, Halo 5 actually had like the longest pre-order thing ever. You could pre-order that game way early in advance. And the thing is, at the time, the game was incomplete, right? The game isn't finished at all. It's kind of vaporware to an extent. So basically what it is, you pay for vaporware. Now if you pay physically, you put money down on it. I have a friend that actually puts money down on a lot of games, like full prices, but at least with physical purchases, you can take out your money at any point, right? Like if you don't want to get the game, you'll at least get your $60, $70, $80 back that you initially dumped in. When you get them digitally, at least as far as North America goes, because the only country, or the only continent I know where this stuff doesn't exist, the only region is Europe, where if you pre-order a game digitally, you can actually get a refund by law. If you live in North America and you put $60 down on something in the PlayStation Store to pre-order something, you actually don't get that game, right? Like you do get the game, but you don't get any sense of refund out of it, okay? You are committed to that game. You are committed to that digital license that you just purchased. You cannot refund, digital content, and that's pretty bullshit, okay? Unless you're on Steam, where they've implemented refunds right now. If you play the game for less than 2 hours and your purchase is within 14 days, then you are entitled to a full refund from Steam. Basically what they do is they'll uninstall the game off your computer and credit you $60 back to your banking institution, or if you want Steam credit, right? And that's how refunds work now, but that's as far as I've seen in digital content. I'm sure it'll get better as time goes on because gaming is going towards digital platforms now versus just having the standard disc-based media, and that is a pretty damn shame, but we're gonna have to talk about that another time. Pre-orders are being pushed heavily because as we're heading towards, the digital marketplace, and if this is to stick, the lack of refunds, especially on consoles, it guarantees essentially a sale to something that is incomplete. Now, there's a lot of bullshit that goes on with video games, and I'll be honest with you, we've done tons of rant times, we've done tons of videos on the bullshit that goes on. So why the fuck would anyone pre-order a game, may I ask? Alright, why? Okay, the games are never complete. Alright, you want to go to Electronic Arts and pre-order a game from them? You want to go to Ubisoft, especially if you're a PC gamer. God forbid if you're a PC gamer and you go to Ubisoft to pre-order a game. Do you realize you're asking to get your nuts chopped off? Like, you are asking to get slashed in the face by a psychotic madman at that point, okay? You don't know what you're getting into pre-ordering stuff. Alright? And this is like the only real industry, well, not the only real industry, of course people pre-order people pre-order iPhones and shit like that too. People pre-order tons of stuff. But gaming is where pre-ordering is always pushed. Preload your games. Buy your game now. And now developers are tossing in incentives like buy the game now and you get 2-4 days of extra experience point for the online, multiplayer component that's probably going to be dead in a month and a half anyways, because let's be honest, most multiplayer games nowadays, unless it's Call of Duty, Halo, Battlefield, or whatever, if it's by the big juggernaut, it doesn't stick around. Alright, it's fucking dead in the water. Let's be honest about that. But pre-ordering games essentially is an incredibly stupid thing to do nowadays. Back in the day, I did it a few times for certain games that I was really hyped for, and, I've never been bit in the ass because of my pre-orders, thankfully, because I never really pulled off a whole lot of them. But pre-ordering encourages developers, especially nowadays, to kind of not give a fuck. It's sort of like putting money into like an early access game. If so much money gets put into it, the developers may or may not stop giving a fuck if they don't feel like developing the game anymore. And I don't want to be pessimistic about that. I made a video on early access, but a great example I could throw out there is Towns. Once that developer made a shit ton of cash off their game because I think they sold like 200,000 copies, they just stopped giving a crap out of it. With pre-orders, if you buy them digitally, if you live in North America, which is a big chunk of the gaming profit, if your game and I believe Asia is a part of this too, because it's just Europe, I know, that's really against the whole no refunds against digital pre-orders, or pre-orders in general. Once you give the money to something that is vaporware, the developer has already profited off you before the work has ever been created. That's the thing. So it encourages developers to realize that, yeah, our product's gonna sell. So do we have to put a whole lot of work into it? I mean, we've seen the whole pre-order crap with games before. I love Battlefield, but when Battlefield 4 came out, man, dude, I got slapped in the face. Okay? That game, I had to wait before I even picked up any copy for about a solid month. I would not pick up a Battlefield 4 copy for PS4, Xbox One, PC, Xbox 360, PS3, because the game came out in such a broken state. And for the people that put $60 down on the title, digitally even, where they couldn't get that money back most of the times, they were dead in the water. They got a broken lemon. They got a broken piece of shit that they couldn't refund. And EA Games, they made the fucking profit off you and ran off. A lot of people that pre-ordered Need for Speed, the new one, were told months later down the line that their game was online only, alright, or it wasn't truly confirmed until, one concrete confirmation later. They couldn't refund that game unless their, region allowed it, which for most people sometimes, that wasn't really an option. They were stuck with that lemon. Pre-ordering doesn't need to happen. A lot of people say pre-order a game because it might run out. Well, games don't run out. In the past year and a half that I've been purchasing games, and I buy my games physically as well, don't think I only do it digitally, but that's a big point as well that I'm going to make too. Buying physical games isn't that big of an issue. Retailers do not run out of copies as fast, okay? If they run out of copies, they're losing money. Nobody wants to lose money. Alright, you think Call of Duty, when it gets sold out day one, it won't restock the next day? Motherfucker, that shit might just restock that night before the store closes, okay? You might be able to get a copy back. Who knows? Alright? And if not, there are so many other shops out there. It's not just GameStop you have to purchase at. You don't have to just go there. There's multiple mom and pop shops. You're never going to run out of a physical copy. When Fallout 4 came out, everyone was like, man, you got to pre-order that. That game's going to be sold out. I bought it at a mom and pop shop for $10 cheaper than retail. I don't know how they fucking did that, but I did it, man. Alright, I got that game day one. Midday. Even when it was rush hour and people were at the stores like crazy, I managed to get a copy of Fallout 4 for my Xbox relatively easily. I went in, asked them, and they're like, oh, we have a bunch of copies in the back. They don't run out of them. And even if they do, and you want a game that bad, and if physical medium doesn't really attach to you emotionally as some other people do, which, let's be honest, some people like their stuff on physical, and I totally get that because they do want a tangible piece of physical media for their $60 purchase. But if that doesn't matter to you, you can get the game digitally anytime, alright? As long as you have a credit card or a PayPal account or anything attached to it, you can actually get your game at any moment, at any time of the day. There has been times where I have been 3 in the morning, just finished an edit, and I wanted to play a brand new game, but I couldn't find the time to buy it. I could simply get it off of the digital marketplaces, and boom, I'm playing the game in a matter of an hour or 2 hours or whatever my download speed allows me to. The world of gaming has changed, and pre-orders, developers know, is an instant lock-in nowadays. And that's why I think that you should heed the warnings on not to pre-order games, especially when games are coming out buggy as hell almost all the time. Very few games nowadays come out day one with little problems. Almost all games these days have some major type of bug. Now again, it's up to you if you want to read reviews or you want to hunk your money down with the possibility of not even getting it back in some cases. That's up to you. But pre-ordering is kind of stupid. And developers are pushing that upon people, and I feel that people need to be a little warned against that. And I thought about it for a while, you know? Is pre-ordering really this grave sin in gaming? It really doesn't offer any benefit to you, alright, the person buying the games. It offers a benefit to the consumer, the producer, the publisher, the retailer of the game itself, because they're guaranteed to make a sale off you. But if the game is crap, you don't know that until you're actually playing it. Until hours later when people pop up on numerous forums citing issues. And you find out that you're also getting those same issues. It's up to you. You know, when Skyrim came out, right? People on the Xbox, they got to play their games. People on the PlayStation who bought that shit day one in excitement that they got to play an open world title had a pretty big bitch slap in the face. That game didn't work well on their systems. But some people in that case couldn't get their money back. The point is, pre-ordering is pretty fucking stupid, and I'm kind of rambling on at this point, but I hope the points that I have made have sort of struck a chord with some people over here. I know I brought in a lot of examples, but I had a lot to say about the whole pre-ordering subject, and while I am a little bit of a hypocrite on it too, I have pre-ordered some games, I do advise that people don't feed into these developer traps. That being said, if you like what you saw, please like, comment, and subscribe. Dislike it if you dislike it. This is me, Mutahar, and I am out.